like giving a visual representation. It's just tough for a crowd to follow.
Yeah.
Whereas you take the caber, which is, the telephone pole, and essentially you flip it end over end and it falls away from you ideally at 12 o'clock for a perfect score. It's such a black and white thing. The crowd can get it like it's yes or no.
Yeah, right.
Right. So there's not a ton of confusion. Same with like the height events where we throw something over a bar. The crowd loves it.
So throwing that telephone pole, is it all about just getting it over and they have different sizes, or is it about distance?
So no distance at all.
Okay.
So essentially you're going to pick it up, run with it, and then you're going to stop and try to flip it end over end.
Yeah.
And so that it lands directly away from you, like 12 o'clock on a clock face.
Right.
So if it lands here, it's slightly less, or here is slightly less, or even some fall way over here. Or if they don't flip, they try to give you an angle, like a 75 degree.
Interesting.
That one's a bit of a guess for those mathematicians there out on the field with their protractors, guessing what angle it is.
Yeah.
Some judges gave less of a fuck than others.
Right. So I always thought it was for distance.
No, that's the only. Yeah. It's the only one that it's for fucking accuracy. It's like such a
that's
odd
weird
thing.
Yeah,
and it varies so much too, like where you are and like ground condition and what the stick feels like, because they would kind of vary because everywhere we go is a different one.
Yeah,
and so we may be somewhere that's got this like shorter heavy stick, so like 18, 19 foot, 150 pounds. And then go to like Enumclaw in Washington, and the one they've got 23 feet long, but like 122 pounds. So it's all whippy and fucking.
Yeah.
It's way more technical to turn this really tall, skinny fucker than you can muscle over the big ones.
Right. Huh. Interesting.
We're rolling, by the way. I know
Sick.
what I didn't say. But
Yeah.
Hey.
So, dude, I'm stoked to have you in. So, I started following your stuff based on the art stuff, which I'm very, very interested too. And then you're jacked.
Well, thank you.
So that's cool too. I figured, all right. And then you're in St. Louis. There's no reason we shouldn't chat.
Yeah, for real.
So are you full-time artist now?
Yeah. So I taught high school art for 7 years. And for the last 8 years, I've been full-time art.
Man, that's so cool. Like as someone that gets to create stuff and design stuff and likes art, I'm just amazed by it. I'm amazed by someone who can figure that out and the business side of it, like I've had to do for whatever this is.
Yeah, right. And I love that other people love what I'm doing, and gives me the opportunity to do this full time. Otherwise, I couldn't have given up that job security that I had before.
So how walk me through, how does it go from, I guess, how do you get to here?
So I always knew that teaching was just a chapter in my life to get me to here. Coming out of college, I thought, well, nobody's going to give me a loan for my first house if I'm just an artist. No matter how much money I'm making, they're just not going to give me a loan. And
yeah, they don't care for that on the application.
So I needed a respectable vehicle and a home.
you're telling me artists aren't highly employable.
Yeah, right. So
passionate artist.
So I decided as soon as I finished with my BFA, I started that summer with night classes to get my master's in education. And by the end of that summer, I had already landed a job teaching. So when it came time to student teaching, I student taught for myself. I kind of like leapfrogged that by landing the job before I got the degree.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it was like, I always tell people this. They're like, well, how do you become a full-time artist? I'm like, well, if you want to be full-time at anything, you just got to be full-time. So even when I was teaching, I was a full-time artist, nights and weekends. That's all I did. No free time.
Well, that's how obsession works.
Right. And as an entrepreneur that like the clock doesn't stop. You don't get the clock out. I mean, you're your own boss. You're everything.
Also, that's not a complaint. Anyone listening,
No.
don't hear that as like, oh man, you don't get the clock. Like, it's the fucking best because it's all you want to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. Like just you think about the things that you love and want to do. And I get to do that all the time.
Right.
And so, yeah,
and
it's
there's
not a bad
always
thing.
a problem to solve.
Exactly. And problems to solve are challenges, and I'm motivated by challenges. So yeah, I love solving problems.
Yeah, man, dude, it's super, super cool. And so even your stylus stuff, I really like the abstract stuff like you were doing with the Mark Twain stuff that I guess is like perspective based of how you would look through it.
Yeah.
That stuff's wild. I don't understand working in a 3-dimensional plane. Like that would be really tough for me to conceptualize and try to figure out to do.
Yeah.
What starts that?
Like creating in 3D, like sculpture, or like the Mark Twain series?
Like kind of the mixture of, I guess, the abstract and 3D sculpture. Kind of the same way I would feel like if someone does an installation that you don't see it unless you look through the whole thing at one angle. It's like a bunch of layers of material.
Yeah. I kind of like think in movies, like in my head, there's like a movie reel playing, and I just kind of like deconstruct things, and like I build these sculptures and these paintings in my head before I actually make them. And over the years, I've gotten really good at just basically knowing what the finished product is going to look like. And if I don't, sometimes just to get the ball rolling, I'll just start making marks. It's like what I used to tell my students, like think in motion. Don't just sit there and look at a blank white canvas, because you're not getting stimulated by this nothingness in front of you.
The inspiration comes in the doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like 0 input in, 0 input out, or output. And so, yeah, I mean, I have a list. I should have brought my list, but it's like a stack of papers completely filled with tiny little writing, ideas, inventions, all kinds of stuff. And it would take several lifetimes to actually achieve all of these things.
Yeah.
But it's perfect because anytime I hit a roadblock, go back to my notes and I'm like, ooh, that's nice right there. I'm going to do that today. Like endless amounts of ideas to go to. So I never have downtime. Just keep working.
What types of inventions?
So
Man, I'm just totally fascinated by creators.
yeah,
I don't know how much you watch YouTube or dive into that, but like Adam Savage's Tested channel,
Yeah.
it's so fucking cool.
I love
because
that
he's
stuff.
just problem solving and such a wildly talented maker to begin with.
and he's got amazing gadgets and he's got all the best
Everything.
tools.
So
I would love that workshop.
yeah, so like I consider him an inventor, right? Because
Yeah.
he's making things that solve a task.
Right. So one that I'm working on, so as you may or may not know, I also build houses out of shipping containers.
Okay.
So I built mine in 2016.
These are all things we need to talk. We're gonna hang out a lot more.
That's actually pretty relevant.
And I built one from one of my art collectors in Old North, a block behind Crown Candy. It's 9 40-foot containers, 3 stories tall. His is awesome. Super cool. And we're breaking ground on another one over by Slough Hospital off of South Grand next week.
Man, I remember reading the story on the shipping container house before I'd moved here because I actually started Googling if St. Louis had any.
Yeah. So I built the only ones in the area. I think the next closest ones are Kansas City and like Central Illinois.
Holy shit. Okay, rad.
And I should have another client that I consulted with on design that is building one down in Eureka, which I need to check back in with them and see how that one's going.
Right on. So, does someone order one and you kind of fully custom help fab it up, or are you actually
So with theirs, I just consulted on the design work and got them on their feet because they wanted to be their own general contractors.
Got it.
So I gave that as an option. Like, we can build it or you can build it.
Or you can play general contractor and do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
Man, that'd be so fucking cool.
Yeah. It's definitely fun. And I built mine like from scratch almost entirely myself. It's 3,100 square feet, took a year and 2 weeks. And that's all I did that year was build a house.
Build a house.
And
Fuck, man, but I bet you learn so much through that process.
Yeah, everything from the ground up. I know that house inside and out. And that's when like my art collector, he said, "Hey, can you build me one?" I was like, sure. I didn't want, after going through that process, which was one of the hardest things I've ever done, I thought like, I need to find somebody who can run the show.
Help a bit of this.
Yeah, do the design and consult work. I'm done building houses myself.
It takes time. It's just lengthy.
So along those lines, back to what kind of inventions am I working on? One is like a new building process. I want to be able to build a house in a day. Well, the majority of it in a day. So first we would start off with just the slab of concrete that has the radiant heat and cooling built into it, so we don't have to have duct work. And then on top of that, you blow up the house like one of those big bounce houses.
Yeah.
And then inside of that is reinforced. Think of like a raft, and it has the ribs.
Yeah,
on
of course. And then it's got connectors within it as well.
So the ribs in this would be like cross fibers that have holes in it, like perforated, really strong fibers, so that when we fill it up with this high density foam, that it penetrates that fiber, and then that becomes like
rebar.
The rebar. Yeah. So it's like ultra strong. You have your internal wall, external wall, insulation, the structure, everything is there. You just blow it up. It probably takes a few hours, and then
slab siding on it.
You could if you want.
If you wanted
you could
to.
either. I think what would be better on it would be like plaster.
Okay.
Stucco.
So some type of a density enough material, maybe somewhere between concrete or something like that, or epoxy or resin, maybe.
Yeah, just something I would have, if I'm building the wall and the structure out of this reinforced foam, I'm trying to get away from having to frame it in order to hang like siding on it.
Yeah, of course.
Because I'm defeating the purpose.
Right, then you may as well, then you're just moving insulation.
Right.
So, I mean, you could even... theoretically, you could probably run all your electrical already through there so that it fills the foam up around it. Now, I mean, anyone who has to do electrical work in the future has got a real fucking pain in the ass. But
well, the good thing is once it solidifies, you can just like cut out windows and install. You know, you can do whatever you want, and then you can just patch it back up with more foam and whatever you got on the outside.
Man. I dig it. I like people fucking thinking neat stuff.
Yeah, and if it's only 6 inches wide, the thick, then that's an R42. Where
so it's code. You're good to go.
Yeah, it's more than code. Like that's what attics are, but in your walls.
Yeah, man. There's some stuff that really like blows me away. As kind of a species. Like once we figured out that we could get power from the sun. I'm amazed that we didn't just start investing at trying to get as good at that as possible.
Right. Well, I mean,
other than there's a bunch of money already, but why not Exxon? Like we have cash.
Right.
Let's start working on this because then we can own the sunlight thing.
Right. That's exactly what I think. And I think that they're just like, it's these old people who are stuck in their ways or old
solar panels
corporations.
Still sound like Star Trek.
Yeah. Right. Even though the cost of solar and electric and batteries are dropping significantly, and they're going to continue dropping.
Yeah, they're not going back up. That's not how any of this works.
The game is over for coal and oil.
Yeah, and especially if we get better at batteries.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm really curious to see where things go, because if we can really get better at batteries to where, I mean, the solar tile roof thing that they were putting on that with a big battery pack on your house, like if there's a way to mix in some type of a solar cell to asphalt.
Right. That would be amazing.
We could drive on it.
Yeah, I think like we should be incorporating everything should be like nature, like a plant. It creates its own energy. I mean, that would be awesome if we just built houses that soaked up the sun and made all the energy that you need on the inside. Yeah,
I mean, it's a fantastic idea, right? And there's a reason that we're not there. I don't think you and I are going to figure it out at this table, probably all the intricacies of it. But if I think about us as a species in 100 years, I think that we have figured that out. And if that's something we're going to do in 100 years, we should probably just get started.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, there is no other choice. We should just do it.
Yeah. I think because that whole kind of idea, like the Moore's Law thing, I just looked it up because I couldn't remember the name of it, but it's like that whole thing that like, essentially this was the whole thing that had to deal with like transistors and stuff. And it like doubles every like 10 years or whatever. And I think that in regards to like all technology and like everything like that, like it's like double. Oh, it doubles every year. Okay.
Every year or two.
Yeah. It's something like that. But like it's doubling all
Yeah.
the time. And so like I think, you know, that whole reduction in cost of everything, because everyone freaking out about solar panels being so expensive so early on. It's just it always just goes down because they're getting better and more efficient and cheaper to make and everything.
Man,
so.
I took a fucking on some solar panels in Louisiana.
Oh, I bet. Because that was
No, dude, that's right.
ago,
Yeah, it
so.
would have been early on, right? But you know, decided good investment for the house. They're not going to make energy
30-year
cheaper.
payoff.
No, it wasn't even bad. It was like 5.
Oh, that's not bad.
5 years cost me $25,000. And so at the time when we signed the deal to get them, the reason we went is there was a federal tax credit for 50% of the value.
Ooh,
Not a fucking refund, like not you can write it off, a fucking credit.
yeah.
You owe this much less in taxes. And then there was a 30% Louisiana one. So they're fucking 80% off. Like I don't have 25 fucking grand at the time, but I can float some things around for a bit
Yeah.
and spend 5 overall. Way too many people jumped on board. Sorry, is the other way around. Louisiana was 50%, the federal was 30. Too many people jumped on board and Louisiana rewrote the law and deal on it and then backdated it. They're like, no, before when we announced it.
They didn't grandfather anybody in.
Oh, man.
Just 12.5 grand that I had fully banked on. That like
That hurts.
the fucking solar company sells you on getting solar panels because this is done.
Right. That's like probably the
it's
deciding
fucking
factor
guaranteed
for almost
you're gonna get
everybody.
I was like, sick. It's worked out great. It did lower my like electrical.
Very sad.
It did lower my electrical. Like we probably went from probably 250, 300 to probably like 60 or $70.
That's awesome.
Yeah, especially all summer.
Solar is definitely in the plans for our container home. And we've got our rooftop is 40 foot by like 35 feet and it's flat.
Yeah.
So eventually I want to turn that into a rooftop terrace and, you know, put plants up there, nice, cool hangout spot and a bridge that goes over to the hill in the backyard instead of stairs. Just do a bridge.
Just go straight across.
Yeah. And then, instead of having the solar panels directly on there, I'll create my awning for the terrace.
Out of the solar.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a good look. Now, is this a house you have already started or?
Yeah, this is the one I live in.
Oh, right on. Yeah. So where around, I guess, are you? Or that's not important.
It's in St. Charles.
Okay. Yeah. My chick and I would love to come check it out at some point.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's super, super interesting for us.
For real.
Because I mean, we're interested in doing some Airbnbs, so we're looking at different properties, different places, and being able to throw a couple of those would be sick.
I think 2 streets over is it Victoria. So somebody contacted me, said one of their clients is selling a lot that is like 2 properties off of Hampton.
Okay,
and I think it might still be available. I don't know if they even listed it yet. But
I will take a gander.
They said right there on the corner of Hampton, which is right next door, is going to be a Starbucks, which would be perfect for an Airbnb.
Well, if they're putting a Starbucks there, property value is going up.
Right.
Starbucks does great real estate research before they fucking show up anywhere. So
oh yeah, for sure.
They get in very early. That's one of those things that, like, if you're looking to buy property and a Starbucks gets in, but the area is not developed, it's probably a good time to buy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You just rarely see them fail.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
Man,
It's not something I ever
there was one in Louisiana. There's one of those shopping lot, like big strip malls in Louisiana, but it was like that one that you have in your town that, for whatever reason, it's just cursed.
Yeah.
That just nothing can fucking exist in that place. And it doesn't seem to know why. Like, it's on a busy street. They've had good businesses, but for whatever reason, it's like too much of a pain in the ass to get in and out of it.
It's got to be some sort of design failure.
Yeah, like in traffic, like it's too hard to get your car in and out or something. But one of those places like that, they put a Starbucks in. It was there like 90 days and they shut the doors. And then some local guy came in after that and like tried to put in a coffee shop, and I was just like, what the fuck are you doing, man?
Yeah, Starbucks just failed.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
Don't do that.
Right.
You're not better than them. They have all the tools.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
fucking
did all
crazy.
the demographic work for you and it didn't work.
So how many houses are you building? Just occasionally when
Yeah,
projects
it's just
come up?
occasionally. I wasn't even going to do it. It's just that I built my container home and I didn't know it was going to be that big a deal. But it resonated with a lot of people and it just kind of exploded.
Well, I think people see it as this more sustainable idea, or people even think it's cheaper, whereas that's not really the case.
No, it's just more of a novelty, and you are doing your part in recycling, repurposing.
Yeah, some bit.
So, yeah.
And secretly, when we get to the Blade Runner future, there's going to be a lot of these.
Right.
I mean, by that point.
Well, if we ever get over our trade deficit with China, because they're buying up all the extra ones and taking them back.
Yeah. China. Oh man. I think they're going to own the planet at some point.
Maybe. I mean, they're putting they're investing. I mean,
I know. That's how they'll own it. I don't know that they'll plop red flags down everywhere, but they will have controlling interest in.
Essentially, if they decide to stop doing something, then
The beauty of that
stops.
is everyone buys their shit because they export 90+% of what they do.
Yes.
So if everyone says we'll just stop buying from you, they're fucked too.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
I think the only way.
But we also can't make all the things they make, so it's a bit of a Mexican standoff at all times.
Well, not yet. I think the only way that we can out-compete them is with automation. Robots but it's kind of sad to say. It's exciting, but it's sad to say.
People,
it's going to
cheap labor are
lot of
hard to
jobs
beat.
gone.
It's
That's
gonna
how they
take-
did the pyramids.
Well, yeah. But it's going to just think about it. You build the robot and it works 24/7. It doesn't take breaks.
It doesn't take breaks.
Yeah, it doesn't get tired.
Sure,
have
but they
maintenance,
have a number of people over there that are essentially that. Unless you can make the robot move faster than humans.
Right.
That's true.
That's it.
Another thing, robots are only getting better.
Oh, believe me, I know it. Believe me, I'm
One
terrified
day-
of these bastards.
Yeah.
But you're part robot. So.
If they would just make the rule with robots from here on out, they have to have a plug. Like they have to be plugged into a wall. This is fucking easy.
But then you can't tell them where the plug is because then they figure it out, though.
Yeah, but they'll never figure out how to power themselves. They also can't fuel off of anything
We don't know
organic. That's not good. They
We also
fucking
don't know
did
if they'll
dude.
figure that out.
The DARPA fucking dudes made a robot that recharged by consuming organic material,
That's
like
not
grass or people.
Smart.
Fuck.
These
Well,
grazing
what's the plan
robots
here,
just
dude?
walking the planet forever.
Yeah. So as the professional art career continues to grow, like at some point it transitions from hobby and to doing it. And then I know other creators and other artists I know, especially graphic designers or anything, people have such a hard time determining what do you charge for shit too. So does that just develop over?
Yeah. So it's kind of like, I always make the comparison to the stock market. And in the beginning, you're gonna lose money. You're gonna rip yourself off just to make the sale in the beginning, and you got to build that following, and then you got to monetize that following. So, and basically, you have to have a great product, otherwise, nothing's gonna work. But yeah, in the beginning, you just got to test the market out. Okay, I'm selling at this price point. It's not where I want to be, but at least I'm selling. And now I'm going to inch it up a little bit here and there and just test the market and see how it goes. And it's just kind of like a stock over time. And you want to be the stock, the company that people want to invest in.
Sure.
And not that everybody looks at art as an investment, but a lot of people do.
I would say for me, it's definitely something I think about if I'm buying art. But it isn't my biggest concern because I don't know how I would go about selling this thing once I have it.
I wouldn't advise anybody to buy, certain artists, upcoming artists as investments. Buy what you love. And if it becomes something that you can resell later down the line, that's a bonus. But it's something that you can enjoy. If you don't love it, don't buy it unless you're ultra rich, you're buying blue chip stocks from, or blue chip art from,
Sotheby's or some big auction house.
Yeah,
or
if
some
you're
shit,
buying
right?
Picasso's, fine.
Yeah, but you're look, we're playing at a different level of investing at that
Yeah,
point, right?
right.
Bonnie and I got fucking dove into this art heist show that she found on Netflix, and it's about the Boston robbery.
I was watching that
It's
the other day.
fucking wild,
I'm
dude.
only through the first episode.
Yeah, it's a full fucking heist show, Brant. Like
Oh, that's
these
wild.
motherfuckers dressed up as cops in like faked uniforms
is the show documentary style, or is it like they
Yeah.
dramatize that? Okay,
they dramatize it a bit
little,
because they
yeah,
don't have enough footage.
of course. Okay, but they're having like people like sit down interview and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah, there's a wild cast of fucking
Yeah.
weirdos.
Have you watched the whole thing?
Not yet.
After having watched only the first episode, I think the guard that had the curly hair,
You think he's in on it?
I think he's in on it. Like they very carefully taped him up.
Well, so
Like,
regarding
don't
how
touch
odd his
hair.
tape was, well, but they would have damaged his hair more the way it was taped, right? Because they went around this way and then went around his head this way. And if that's the case, the only thing I thought was because he has so much fucking hair, you can't get this one to stick.
Yeah,
And so they're like, fuck it.
just keep
This will hold it in place.
yeah.
We'll keep using tape until he can't fucking see us.
True.
Like, I mean,
I that reminds me. I have to dive back
or
into this.
maybe it slipped off and then they were like, look, we're going to fucking tape all your hair up. And if you cause a problem, you're going to have to fucking pull all your hair out.
I mean, I think that kind of just calls attention to like the whole, like how people just view art in general. Like, because I mean, there's that whole movie about, I think it was during like World War II when they were trying to save all that art and stuff like that. And then it's crazy, like thinking about all the art like we haven't seen because of just cultures just like fuck you and just destroying all of
Right.
it. Well, I mean, that goes even further into like how many cultures we don't know about because they were fucking eradicated. But
Yeah, the history is written by winners.
yeah. So, yeah, I think I've always thought that's such an interesting component of art that, like, someone painted something that's so valuable, people are like really willing to go to just the most extreme lengths to have it
Well,
and to like
it's neat, right?
sell
Because
it for the monetary value.
the actual composition itself is so much more valuable than any of the pieces.
Yeah.
And that's the cool
frame
part.
will just get ripped apart. They'll just roll up the painting and take it.
Well, not
like
even
stuff
that.
like
Just like
or
the
something like
the
that.
actual, let's say, retail value of the parts. The frame, the canvas, the paints, any of this is pretty minimal,
Right.
because what you're paying for is the
Oh,
composition
yeah,
as
yeah.
a whole.
Okay, I see what you're
It's
saying.
more
Yeah,
than
yeah.
just the pieces. The sum is greater than the parts, I suppose.
Absolutely. And you're buying the story, you're buying the artist, you're buying a piece of that thing
Yeah.
as a whole. And it's also like part of the value comes from scarcity. It's like this artist is going to live and die in the short period of time.
That's how it goes, man.
It's like brands like Supreme took this idea and ran with it.
Oh,
Like,
that's
dude,
how
nothing but
we run
limited
our
editions.
fucking apparel brand too.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Everyone does.
any of those like high end like fashion wears, especially like Supreme and stuff, that it's just their. I mean, even Nike does it now too. Essentially, like it's just their logo on the shirt, and it's just a normal shirt, and it's just So it's super
Yeah,
interesting in that sense.
Sneakerheads, same
yeah,
thing.
sneakerheads is really
limited
interesting.
editions.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The sneaker culture thing is
Dude,
something I'm
crazy.
not in touch with, and so it just blows me away.
Well,
Right.
like my roommate in college was a huge sneakerhead guy. He was kind of into a lot of those little things, like things that you would be like, that's absolutely ridiculous to like spend money on. But like he was super into it. Like he would flip shoes and all kind of stuff like that. But yeah, that's essentially part like fashion stuff. It's just this different medium of art, I would say. And so like
Fully.
seeing those values and seeing like, just the investment people will put into, these items is super interesting. So, but yeah, sneaker culture is
But I
confusing
mean,
to me.
at the end of the day, look, things are worth whatever people are willing to pay for them. That's
Exactly
how it goes.
And
It's
that goes
not up
back
for debate.
to that goes back to your original question was how do you value your art? And it's basically testing that market. What are people willing to pay for it? And can I maintain? For me, I want to be able to maintain this upward trajectory. I don't want to make a huge leap in value of my art and not be able to sustain that, and then have a pullback, which would then undermine like my long-term value. I want to create steady growth over long periods of time.
Yeah, then it's sustainable.
Right.
That's man. That's all the exact same type of stuff we
I mean-
think about
I mean, we
running
all-
our business too, right? It's the
Yeah.
exact same concept.
We all want to make the big bucks, but like all that stuff takes time.
All of it does. Not only that, when you do it sustainably and you do it not fucking yourself over the whole way there, because you can't hold that line. And then if you're owned by an audience because now you only create the shit that they've wanted, now you have a job again.
Right. Yeah. Luckily for me, the commissions that I get from buyers, I've created like a positive feedback loop that I'm making the art that I want to make.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
they see that, and then they want more of that,
Right.
similar, but
exactly.
different.
Yeah. I'm interested in discussing a piece. We have a wall at the house that we want to put a pretty decent sized piece on, kind of a weird shaped wall, like tall and skinny.
Nice.
Like where an old fireplace would have been. And I love the stuff you've done with, I guess just the color blend. I don't know what if
Like
lack of term.
The Wave series,
Yes.
possibly?
Yeah. I really like that. I like the stuff that you've done the Wave series, but also then shadowed behind it and given it depth as a whole. Like I really, really dig the style. And so of course, like the collaboration is, I'd like it this size.
Right.
And then like, thanks. And also here's
Absolutely.
my living room. If it didn't make me want to burn all my furniture, I'd appreciate it.
Right. Yeah. So
I'm
like,
talking about like this kind of thing.
Yeah, go down.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I really like that stuff. Or that one there in the middle.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, just ship that one to Texas.
Man, that
Yeah.
thing is so cool, man. Just
Yeah,
the
that is really
amount
cool.
of color in it.
That I love the white space on this image a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like everything about it. I like the floating frame style and
Yeah, like a powerful piece, like the potency of color, it needs this white space around it, the negative space to breathe.
Yeah, it looks. Yeah, I really like it. It looks
Right.
great.
Thanks.
So
Are you familiar with another guy I follow that I really like his style is it's like Sean Hutchinson or Sean Huck.
Is he local?
No. Sean, hold on. I can throw
give
it
me
up real quick.
give me a little.
A little bit more than
Son.
just saying that first
Sean.
name 20 times in a row. That's not as helpful as Sean Huckins.
Huckins.
Yeah, Sean _Huckins.
Doesn't ring.
Really,
a bell.
really talented kind of like oil painter.
Yeah.
And then I just like the pop culture reference that he throws into this style. And so while these look like that house, go up one to the left. Yeah.
Nice. And then he paints this
Yeah.
on
So
it.
that's a big hand painted piece. And then he, tapes off the letters before he paints the image.
Yeah. So he's kind of like creating painted memes.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's
And
cool.
so I really love it. There's a handful of like really nice portraits of old.
It is a nice touch of like just modern what's happening with
Yeah.
meme culture and just kind of now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Like a classical version of
Essentially, yeah.
But
I think
for
that's interesting
to
for
see an
sure.
artist find a style that resonates, I'm like, fuck, man, good work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if he was probably just painting landscapes, while talented,
It's just not the same.
It's
he
not the
doesn't
same.
stand out
Yeah,
over
like,
anyone else.
Yeah, that's super wild. Thinking like seeing this without the words, it's a pretty like you're like, oh, that's pretty normal, even though it's
Right.
fucking incredible.
Yeah.
but it's just like, yeah,
Essentially,
it's just,
we're paying
it's just,
more
it
for the
looks
less
like, yeah.
painting.
But we've
Yeah.
seen a million landscapes.
Exactly.
We
Yes,
haven't seen
exactly.
it like this.
Yeah,
No, and yeah, it's just got such a great juxtaposition to it.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Yeah, man. This has been I've been excited, man, because a lot of common ground. Like I dig thought process and all those type of things that you've got. So so fitness as well. I mean, clearly in shape.
Yeah.
Have you competed in stuff or?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been working out pretty consistently for 25 years, almost 39 now. So back in the day, I competed in like baseball, football, wrestling, did a little bit of boxing, no matches, just sparring back in the day. Heard you say that, kind of off subject, that you were a bouncer back in the day. I did
bounced
that.
at a number of places.
I did that during college.
Perfect.
It's fun, but
It always is.
I did competitive arm wrestling for a
Okay.
couple years, which is
It's a fucking wild
Oh, that's
sport.
wild.
yeah. I met some of the strongest low key guys ever.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
right?
a different kind of strength.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
amazing.
terrified of it because that fucking spiral fracture thing just stresses me out. Like risk to reward, not interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, like seeing those dudes' forearms is it's wild.
There isn't anyone on the planet that you could be like, you could beat him in arm wrestling, but there's a possibility that you do that to your fucking arm. No, thank you.
And your arm is just gone
They win.
forever. Yeah.
They win. I'm cool over here. I have nothing to prove.
I was on American Ninja Warrior in 2015.
We've had 2 Ninja Warrior guests now, dude. We're fucking killing the Ninja Warrior scene.
It was fun. It was fun. It was kind of stressful too.
Yeah, I fucking bet.
You get this huge lead up. I went on at like 2:30 a.m. because they want the the lights and the dark sky behind you. Competed in Kansas City, and like I trained at a Ninja Warrior training facility for years just because I liked it. It was fun.
Yeah, it's fucking fun.
And I was like, why don't I just try the show? And I trained to do like the hardest of the hard of all of the obstacles. So I was like, oh man, I'm just going to blaze right through this. I crashed halfway through stage 1. And another guy that was in my gym who competed the next year, and he also didn't make it as far as he should have. He said it best. He said, I'm pretty good at walking upstairs, but every once in a while I trip. And it's just like that. Like one tiny little slip and
that's
you're
it,
done.
right?
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it takes. And fuck, man, that feeling as a competitor of that slip, right? Like, with throwing, like with the stuff like that feeling is like, so if I'm trying to throw the stone, the way I want to do it is lead with my hip and get as far behind it as I can so that I have time to push it longer. If you rush to the shoulder first, it just comes out with this quick jab and it feels like it only weighs 16 pounds, which it does. And it just, because this isn't heavy with 16 pounds because you don't ever get any inertia behind it.
Yeah.
It's the fucking worst. It's like you finish and you're like, I didn't get to try.
Right. Yeah. There's no 3 strikes and you're out. It's
No.
just 1 strike and you're out. It hurts so much.
Oh God, dude. And then was it televised or?
Some people said that they saw me like for a split second in the commercials.
Oh, right on.
But no, out of like the 100 or so, they only showed like 15.
Got it.
Yeah.
So your crash was neither spectacular or didn't finish the run. Yeah. Got it.
I was just normal.
Yeah.
That doesn't make TV.
What obstacle?
So you go through the quad steps, then you go up a ramp, held onto a bar, which then
Slides and
rode
drops?
onto. Well, this one is more like a roller coaster.
Okay.
So it was kind of like that, but yeah, it goes down and up, and then you release, fly about 10 feet or so, and grab like a red cargo ladder.
Jesus.
okay.
All right.
And beforehand, I was thinking, should I go for the?
Was this something you'd practiced?
We have a cargo net,
But you don't have
the gym. We don't have that part.
Got it.
No.
That's a pretty major component.
Yeah. But I mean, that was fine. The release, everything, I got to the ladder, and my thought process was, okay, should I grab like the rungs or the
handles.
sides? And I decided, well, I should just hook and just get
Get
one
as
of the
much
rungs.
that's what I would have immediately thought too. Is
I'm not
just
going to try to
fucking
grab, just hook.
Get in as much as I can of this awful thing.
And there's like 12 to 16 inches between each rung.
Oh,
I was
shit,
like, plenty
they're
of room.
huge.
And I nailed my fingertips on one of the rungs.
Man.
And as it rolled off and I reached one more time, I was like, I'm falling.
Man, I'm in water.
And I'm in the water, and I like yelled under the water.
Oh,
So then
yeah. I would have absolutely had a motherfucker under the water by myself there for sure.
So when I came out, I didn't have to like yell on camera.
Yep. I'd have been like, oh, that's just what I wanted that to go.
Yeah.
Fuck.
But, the whole experience it was fun overall.
Right on. And dude, in such a unique experience to get to try. Like, I don't understand the hang up or fear that comes with being embarrassed by it. Like, what if I fail? What if I fail? But like, yo, you got to do a thing that made you really uncomfortable and really nervous for a bit. Like,
Right. Yeah. I would much rather just try things. Just dive in head first. Do it.
Right.
You know, like Mark Twain said towards the end of his life, that when you look back on your life, you'll regret the things that you didn't do more than the things that you did.
I don't see how that's even arguable, right?
Yeah,
Like
just
I would
do it.
absolutely feel that way. I would rather try a bunch of shit and be like, that's not for me. Then I
Yeah.
don't have to do it again.
Yeah.
And
Then it's
maybe
like
pretty
process
early
of
in
elimination.
and then maybe early in the process, I also figure out like, I don't care for that.
Yeah.
Like I probably don't ever need to scratch the itch of, could I be a jockey for like racing horses?
Yeah, right.
Be like, nah, probably not.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to waste time in that arena.
Yeah, exactly.
But fuck, man, try a ton of stuff.
Yeah, likewise. I love trying new things, and it's kind of like in my art. You see that I work in many different styles. I could never just be that artist that does that one thing their whole life.
Well, that's the freedom of it, right? Like, again, then it's a job again.
But right,
I want to fucking create, and what do you want to create? Whatever I want.
Yeah, and I want to experiment and explore. And you know, if I hit a roadblock in one series of it could be my Wave series or Stripe series. If I hit a roadblock there, then I'll just jump tracks and keep moving full speed ahead on something else.
Right.
There's always something else to work on.
That's that. I think people get caught up, man, and get dialed into that. This is what they are, this identity of it, not being able to take some slight pivots and just keep on course. That people end up just too locked in. And so I love hearing that, especially now that you've essentially made a life.
Right. And made a life, that's so true, because some people look at things like diet, exercise, or the thing that you want to be as like just a thing that you do, but really it's a lifestyle. You know, if you want to be fit, if you want to be, an artist, it has to be your lifestyle. You have to like live and breathe that thing. Otherwise, it's just, you can't expect full-time results from part-time,
No,
output.
and the obsession part of it makes it fun, because it's not an hour-based thing. It's what I
Right.
want to be doing anyway.
Yeah, I'm present in the moment. Like
Yeah.
I'm living life right now, not in the future, and I'm not dwelling on the past.
Now, before the show, we were chatting a little bit, and you said that you were doing some intermittent fasting. How long have you been messing with that?
5 years, and that too has become my lifestyle. And to each their own. I'm not here to preach that this is the way.
Right.
Everybody just chooses whatever works best for them, and this works best for me. When I first started, I was eating between noon and 8 p.m. And then
That's about what I do. So I've been doing IM for a few years now, and basically just don't eat until 1 or 2 p.m.
Yeah, it's great, and you don't get those hunger and tired cycles throughout the day. So over the course of a year, I slowly pushed back that noon to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 until finally it became one giant meal at the end of the day.
Which we've been told for years is the worst way you can possibly eat. The big problem with that statistic and what we relied about was most people who do that do it with cheeseburgers and French fries and bullshit.
Yeah.
Whereas if you had if you want to get a KFC fucking bucket and fill it with rice and ground meat, it's probably going to turn out okay.
Yeah. I break my fast with a giant salad, and I'll put, dietary protein into it, like chicken or fish or eggs. And with that, I'll have 1 or 2 of my wife's protein bars, and then I'll have like a protein shake after that. So that's basically the meal.
Right. So you're probably knocking down 2,000, 2,500 calories, give or take. It's not crazy.
Yeah,
it's not
no.
a big gluttonous,
Right.
over the top meal.
Right.
It's not what I'd be doing with one meal in the evening. Most likely that's about time the hunger sharks have shown up anyway, that they're gonna get some food.
Well, luckily, if I eat this giant meal between 6 and 8 p.m., I'll be full until it's time to go to bed.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I might get a little bit of the munchies, but
It gets the best of us.
yeah, right. And I'm going to a shameless plug here. That's where I'm fortunate that my wife has a protein bar company. So it's
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So I get to like snack on these delicious protein bars
What's
instead
the
of like
company,
a candy
man?
bar. It's Breeze protein bars.
Right on. They're St. Louis based. I take it.
Yep.
Found in stores, online, Instagram.
So she started it when we had a restaurant. And then when we decided we don't want to have a restaurant, she took this, her business. She's like, you know what? Like this restaurant has hit a plateau, but the protein bar, company is like unlimited. We can just keep growing, not have as many employees. And most of all, it's what she and I believe in. Like we're both like health conscious.
Sure.
And the main aspect of her protein bars are quality ingredients, few ingredients, no fillers. She just wants to maintain the high quality. So the last 5 years, she's been making them small batch here locally. No storefront, online only.
Just online only.
Ship direct, direct to consumer. But for the last year or two, she's been searching for manufacturers to make that leap into large scale manufacturing. And she finally found one that meets her quality standards, and that should be happening in the next few months.
Dude,
production.
that's super exciting,
Cool.
man.
Yeah.
Congrats.
I didn't even think about that. Like, I guess since you guys had like a restaurant, I guess who's like culinary skills, is that mainly her or
Definitely not mine.
No,
I would eat all the food though.
Yeah,
there you go. You're a good taste tester. You're like,
Yeah.
no, this isn't great, babe. Or like, this is good.
Yeah,
Like, this is great.
absolutely.
This is fantastic.
I love being a taste tester.
Same.
That's the best part.
I can hammer food. I goddamn love it.
Is this the?
Oh yeah,
Is
yeah.
this it?
Oh, right
Yep.
on.
Yep. So her name is Brie, and spelled like the cheese.
I didn't spell that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, they're just amazing. She's got a vegan line and a whey line.
Very cool, dude.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's
Yeah.
I can't imagine that being a really easy thing to.
Well, dude,
start.
if there's ever anything in the future I can help with apparel or even warehouse fulfillment,
Absolutely.
we can do all that.
Yeah, because she's been experimenting with apparel designs, and nothing is large production yet. But with her new logo, she's got mostly it's for her right now, but she's testing and wants to eventually open that up to the public.
Oh, dude,
So-
that's super, super cool.
Yeah, I'll definitely be in contact about
Yeah.
that.
Any way I can help, man.
Awesome.
I dig it, man, because I think it's easy to look at the artistic types as not keeping the physical side in check. It's rarely athlete and artist.
Yeah, it's hard
Yes.
to maintain that balance, especially when one of the things like art is like an obsession that kind of engulfs your life. It's hard. Like I've always worked out and been competitive, but it was just a few years ago that I said, you know what, like I'm getting so busy and I'm missing, you miss 2 days, you miss 3 and 4. And then it's like, that becomes a thing. And I was like, I got to get back. Working out is a non-negotiable. It's like sleeping. I got to sleep. I got to work out. So I get it in almost every day.
Well, it keeps the other shit sharp.
Yeah.
Like I've noticed such a big difference for me because as we've grown as a business, being able to get like Brant on board, really quality help, and then hiring another guy, Andy, as well as our team that's remote. I have time to actually train again and enjoy training,
Yeah.
and that has been fucking rocket fuel for the business. It's been kind of an interesting carryover that like the more that I'm back focused on training, it's translating to the quality of product I think we're putting out.
Right. And if like whatever else you're doing, if you're staying physically fit and eating right, then that's going to translate, like you're going to be much more productive on everything. Like,
another part of it, it's something I think about too. So, I don't know if you dabble at all or anything with psychedelics.
I want to.
They're fantastic.
So I've heard.
We'll talk more. I'm a
Not
big
acid.
fan.
I would want to try all the natural.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're different tools, different jobs.
Right.
Really, really interesting stuff. Made a really big change in my life a handful of years ago. And those type of things, man, like with just the way it changes mindset and the way it changes stuff. Like for me, it started really me looking at my body differently, and that it made so much more sense for me that, of course, the better I took care of the machine, the better this has to operate inside of it, right? Like if it's a high functioning fucking race car and I want it to perform like that, I got to fucking treat it like one.
Right. Yeah. It's everything. It's, we're only here for a limited amount of time. Like make the most of it. Yeah. Like be the best version of yourself that you can be. I think, or don't like. Some people
fucking don't.
Right. Don't.
Some people, are not motivated.
It doesn't
Some
make any
people
difference
don't.
to me, right? Like,
Yeah, right. Do you.
We have a lot
me.
of similarities, my friend.
I a few years ago, I guess maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, I kind of caught myself becoming kind of preachy, like on social media about like diet and exercise and all that. And I thought, you know what? Like I shouldn't be being preachy. Like this is what I do for myself, and what other people do is their own business. The only part of that whole aspect that kind of bothers me is that the cost to the society as a whole is socialized. Like healthcare costs
I know.
are through the roof.
So this is something I've been thinking of, and especially through the last 2 years, or honestly, the last handful of years, and kind of the idea, this could be a lot of weed talking, but we've seen this divide in our country that, with the two-party system, this left and this right. And not only that every single topic now has to be politicized, right? It's fucking
exhausting.
bonkers. We have left logic and reason behind a long fucking time ago.
Right.
And what I saw start with this kind of split, right, when we had the protest with like the 99% and the 1%, this Occupy Wall Street, this split, this very split, but there was a lot of people doing fine between those edges, right? Between the fucking ultra rich and those who don't. But that's continued to narrow down to where they've figured out how to get everyone left or right.
Yeah, they focus on these extremes and stoke people's fears and get them outraged about things that are on the perimeter, when really if you took this Venn diagram of all of us, most of us will be in the middle, the part that overlaps, not these two edges out here.
Right. They've just now made it so big that everything has to be right or left, including how you feel about a pandemic, right? That has to be politicized, which is fucking bonkers.
Right.
It's bonkers that we were lied to for any fucking reason whatsoever.
Right.
Well, from the get-go, pretty much.
From jump. Like there's a lot of logic I can get
there's
into there with, I also understand why they don't trust us. We're not fucking terribly smart and we don't make great decisions.
The majority of us are not. Yeah.
Of course they lie to us.
I mean, it's kind of a bad example, but like the talk show hosts, when they like send someone on the street to like ask people questions, I realize they're editing and pulling like the really dumb ones, but like that's still like, oh, that's pretty probably average answer.
That guy gets to drive. Those people get to drive cars.
It's like that guy also has
you know what I mean?
vote,
Like they get to just fucking get behind the wheel of a 7,000 pound rocket and go wherever they want, which is back to another fucking side point, right? Like drugs being illegal. It's fucking bonkers because they're not legislated because they're dangerous. Our government doesn't make laws against danger. I can buy guns and fucking motorcycles and I can own a Lamborghini. I can, even if I'm super dumb, a car itself is a terrifying weapon, which I'm totally trusted based on just a lot of agreements we have with left and right and stop signs.
The Tundra's a fucking tank.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Like,
Tesla full self-driving's coming soon.
Oh man.
Can't wait.
Wild.
It's going to be a really, I do think that's going to be a weird transition.
That's going to be weird.
But with that shift and those type of things, I wonder if this divide that we've seen, will it at some point reach those of us who have chose to care about our health and those of us who don't?
Well, I think a really interesting thing with the whole COVID thing, there was an article, I don't remember what, it popped up across my timeline, and it was about how like it was a staggering percentage. It was like 70 or 80% or something. Like of COVID deaths were related to people that were, overweight or
I saw
like
that.
Yeah,
But
with preventable, only
it was
6% of the COVID deaths were attributed to COVID alone.
Yeah.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is like, but I saw it once and I never saw it again. Like I haven't seen it circulate or anything like that. And I'm like, of course, this is probably the most accurate thing that has really come out during this whole period. And like, it just got fucking
pushed
away.
Like the cold hard truth like that, that doesn't make money. That doesn't polarize
I know.
people.
Of course.
So,
Of course,
let's
of
bury
course it
that.
doesn't. Of course
and
it doesn't.
like,
right?
yeah, and the whole thing with Instagram and social media and stuff, obviously it's, the more liberal platforms, but since so many people are like using them, since all information is just getting funneled through that, again, you're only getting that like one side, and you're getting, that's why I feel like what you guys were talking about is like, they've been trying to push people. Now they have these platforms where they're able to completely fucking funnel it.
And the platforms
so-
are very interesting too, right? Because of the incredibleness of the technology these fucking people have invented, which
Yeah.
is insane. They've made it so fucking good that because we will always give more attention to negative shit just because that's how we are fucking hardwired.
Right.
Because negative things are
tribalism.
a thing to get rid of. So they get the attention first.
Yeah.
Whereas the positive shit just goes, oh, of course. It's supposed to be.
Yeah, right.
Right. But the negative ones are the ones that fuck you up. And the problem with the algorithm and stuff like that is because you comment back to this negative person, or you said something on their picture, or did something, or looked at it too long,
It spreads faster.
they look at that and they go, well, this is what they want more of. They're interacting more with this than the other stuff. So why wouldn't I give them the stuff that it seems to hold their attention longer? Of course, that's what you'd like, right? But people don't operate that way. We fixate on bullshit we hate.
And algorithms don't discern
doesn't care.
between truth or
Yeah.
fiction.
Exactly.
It doesn't have an opinion at all.
It's just whatever
Completely
keeps you on the platform the longest is
It's
what
surely
Yes,
data.
exactly.
It's surely data
Exactly.
driven.
Yeah.
Surely data driven. And look, honestly, the more I think about it, the more I try to apply that stuff to what we do as a business too. Of like, how can I just be
Yes.
more data based and not have an opinion?
Right.
Yeah, but that's the whole, like, anytime someone's making any app or anything, I think that's like the biggest thing is like, how do you keep someone on this thing as long as fucking
Yeah.
possible? Like, as long as humanly possible before they get off, and like, obviously Instagram has fucking done an incredible job at that.
It's
so
incredible.
Like,
Yeah.
and so-
YouTube.
yep, exactly. Like, YouTube's ridiculous because the rabbit holes you can fall into on that thing is stupid. But yeah, and so, I mean, like, even any game you make, anything like that, like, as long as you're keeping people on it, like, you're generating income and you're generating just exactly
Like eyes
what
are
you want.
eyes
So,
are always
yeah.
valuable.
Yeah.
They always have been. They always will be. We've just figured out weirder ways to get them now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something you said earlier, man, that I think's really important for people is that you talk about you're not sitting around waiting for inspiration. And that's something that I've worked really hard on in the last couple of years with HVIII and the, creative process behind designs or coming up with what our voice is or any of those type of things. I know that I can get there now. Like, I know that I can flip the switch to produce work.
Yeah.
And you just have to start putting your fucking pen on the paper and make a thing and go, do I like it or not? And then change it. And like, eventually something's happening that you're into.
Right.
Write some words, fucking find something. And I love that, man, the motivation comes in the doing. Like, start making mistakes, start listening to how you feel about the project and how it's going. And then that rights the ship.
Yeah. Think in motion. And I come up with great ideas. Thinking in motion can happen like from me physically doing something, or it can happen just by driving and having all the stimulus pass by me. You see something, it reminds you of one thing, and that reminds you of something else. And all of a sudden, you're going down this thought process that you never would have because you're giving yourself stimulus. And then all of a sudden, you smell something that you drive by and a memory pops up. And then you're like, oh, that's a good idea. I forgot about this. And then next thing you know, you're like down your own rabbit hole of creativity.
See, and that's why I find it really important for the travel aspect, the being uncomfortable, because when you're in those settings and going to new places and being new stimulus, that's when everything's firing and you're awake. That's, we kind of refer to it as like, that's being at the wheel.
Yeah.
Whereas it's really easy to just fucking coast. And then you have that moment in life where someone says, I don't know what happened. I was 20 yesterday.
Right. Yeah. And I'm trying to find balance in my own life of, you reflect and you're like, holy shit, like I'm going to be 40 next year.
Yeah.
And
So I've just turned 38. So we're right in the same boat.
yeah.
My friend.
So it's like, even though I'm doing what I love, I still need to find balance in relaxing and enjoying life too. Otherwise, like, you know, like you said, I'll be 60, 70,
I
whatever.
can probably help with that side. That side I still do pretty well.
Yeah, I was told one of my friends, he said, you know what, like you're too much of a producer and you're not enough of a consumer. And not just a consumer of like packaged goods, but a consumer of the world
of
itself.
the world.
Yeah, of
Right.
other people's creations. And,
Which is tricky, though, if that's not where you find inspiration. Because if you find inspiration in doing,
you're right.
then you're in this really great feedback loop. The only issue with that, right, is does it become an echo chamber where you enjoy the smell of your own farts?
Right, yeah. Yeah, I think this is all kind of a part of like my master plan is kind of coming to a head. I'm like going over the hump. So I decided when I was young that I was going to work my ass off to where I could buy my freedom from the system, basically, which I kind of have been coming over this hump for the last few years. And so I think the major change is going to happen at the end of this year, where I'm going to start, just like I said, working out, non-negotiable every day. Next year, I'm going to start making, you know, more travel that's not just business travel, more, you know, time just to take a full day off of work.
Yeah, man.
Because right now, like the past several years, I work 7 days a week for months. And then the days that I take off is basically if I'm out of town.
I think you'll very much like mushrooms.
I
Just
from what I've
your
read,
already thought processes and like, so for me, what I enjoy working. I like being busy. I like the progress side of it. I like feeling like I'm going toward the plan and figuring more out and getting better at all of it.
yeah,
And so I fucking love it. Mushrooms, if I need that day to fucking punch out and turn off,
yeah.
it's a real reset.
I've
Like, I
heard it
can
does great things
fucking-
for stress and anxiety as well.
Great for stress and anxiety. I get really nice like body high for pain relief from it. And variety of doses here. Like really depends on what you want to accomplish. Now I've microdosed for the last probably 9 months. And it's been fantastic. This may be something I'll just do for the rest of my life. I don't see any reason not to.
Yeah,
Everything I'm taking within this dose is, you know, it's all organic. It's mushroom material. It's changa, lion's mane, cordyceps, reishi, and some psilocybin. But the dose is so small.
right.
I mean, it's a 100th of what I would take if I was trying to get loose.
Yeah,
But getting loose is fun too.
yeah. A mental vacation wherever you're at.
Dude, I get so much from it. I get such a release of just all the tension. It provides for me like the, you know, I guess, looking inward
Yeah,
on it a lot. You get this big self-reflection and you get this perspective of stuff that for me, it's very data driven. And I can just say, you know, are we doing better? Are we doing worse? You know, where can we be better? Where are we missing the fucking ball on a few things and not take it personally as much as let's illuminate it.
I've had moments of being able to see myself from an outside perspective. Is it kind of like that in a way?
It can.
Where you can finally like see you from somewhere else and observe that and, you know, like think about like,
Yeah, I would say it definitely gives very much some clear observer stuff of your own character. And man, different settings are very different too. So like a couple grams of mushrooms going off into the woods for a hike, excellent experience. You'll probably get some in-depth stuff, but it kind of feeds a bit on what you're giving it.
right.
I would have a hard time if it was a pretty day and like taking some mushrooms going through the woods that things would go south for you.
Yeah.
But
Because it's enhancing what you're.
But if you're alone, dark room, you know, with say an eye mask on and laying like that, it only deals with what's inside.
Right.
So there's no outside to it. And it's really powerful. It's intense during a higher dose, you know, a heroic dose being like 5 grams or something like that. Yeah, I wouldn't make any plans if I had a 5 gram night coming.
And it lasts pretty long too.
Yeah, it's 6 or 8 hours. And so it's
so you
funny,
want it
like,
to be a good 6 or 8 hours.
right. So look, I'm typically like asleep by 9:30 or 10 p.m. And so for me now to take mushrooms, I'm so shitty about like sleep being a non-negotiable or trying to be,
It's important.
that unless I know I have time to blast off by like 2 p.m., I'm not really that interested in getting involved because I don't want to stay up till 1.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, sleep was another non-negotiable that I had to kind of get myself back into because I'm kind of like a night person naturally.
See, I go the other way. Like I'm very much easier to wake up at 5 a.m. on my own. And
I am not.
Yeah. Poor Brandon.
I got a lot better at waking up early from those 7 years of teaching.
Sure.
Now I wake up naturally. Lately, it's been like around 7 o'clock,
Okay.
plus or minus 30 minutes.
Okay. So that's not crazy though.
Yeah, and but the
Like if
thing
you would
is,
have told me you sleep till 10 every day, I'd be like,
no.
holy fuck.
no, I can't do that anymore. But
No, I've
but I
never
can,
been able to.
But I can easily stay up, and then I still wake up at around the same time. So
Yes.
then I'm losing sleep,
That's-
and then it's a snowball effect.
Yeah, I don't know if that just comes with being an old man, but it's the same way. Like I will absolutely like by 10:30, I'm like, yo, what the fuck's going on? Why are we awake?
Dude,
Because I know I'm getting up at 6.
Dude, when we left last night, I looked at my clock because I'm like, yo, I'm like really tired, but like I looked at the time, it was like 9. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
I
was
looked,
just like-
dude, I looked over at Bonnie and she's fucking asleep.
It was
in the basement
8
on this
o'clock.
big beanbag we've got.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're a little baked watching a movie, and she's asleep, dead asleep at like 8:30. So I'm like,
That's my wife.
let me fucking get her upstairs and put her to bed. I ended up staying up to almost like 10:30 or 11.
Okay.
Brand.
Oh,
I
okay.
watched more of that scam show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, because we went back and watched the movie. I'm like, dude, it's 8:30. I'm like, I'm not fucking going to bed. I'm like,
Like, we
this
have
is
a whole night
stupid.
to
I'm
hang
like,
out.
you know how much time is left in this day?
Yeah, but the basement crushes it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's low oxygen down there, I think.
Basements
Something's
are
going
nice.
on.
It's a
And we've
cave
set it up.
atmosphere.
It's got 2 big bean bags in it, and like the big 6-foot bean bags, and then like a big TV, and
Nice.
I'd put a bunch of colored lights, and great place to sit and get very high and watch.
And that's something else that I love too is weed as opposed to alcohol. And that's one thing that I use weed for as well. Not necessarily like a major reason, but to decrease how much I, desire, like want alcohol.
Yeah,
a couple hits of weed and like,
Dude, I basically have bailed from booze.
yeah,
Look, and look, I'm not sober,
right.
but fucking far from it.
Yeah.
Nor am I like, I don't drink alcohol. I mean, I'll have a fucking drink if that's what the experience calls for and with right time and place. I'll have a cocktail every now and then, at a nice restaurant or some shit. But, oh man, the chemical just doesn't agree with my body very good.
Yeah. Oh man, it gets worse every year that goes by. And you have a few to drink. You go to sleep, you get a terrible night's sleep. You wake up, you feel like shit.
It
affects the whole
costs me
next
too
day.
much fucking progress, man.
Yeah. I smoke weed and go to bed, and I wake up feeling refreshed.
And I get weird creative shit in my head when I'm real high.
Yeah.
And I like all the weird high thoughts. I don't get any paranoia because
me neither.
I'm not sure I give enough of a fuck.
That's a good thing.
Right, I guess to some extent, right? Like that. Like, yeah, that's not coming up for me anymore. It may have at a younger age, but
yeah. Likewise.
yeah, dude, the psychedelic stuff is really interesting. We'll discuss more for sure. I mean, fuck, we can talk about it, but like, yeah, I mean, I've dabbled a bit in the last couple years, quite a bit. Everything's a little different. So LSD is a little bit different than mushrooms. Mushrooms is its own thing. I like mushrooms are really good, but LSD is really good too. But it's a different place. I don't like taking mushrooms at a party.
Yeah.
If I was at a party, I'd like LSD. Like a small dose of LSD is way better than bothering with drinking. Like, don't even just grab a seltzer water and a bottle of water and just enjoy yourself all night.
I really want to try mushrooms. LSD, I'd have to wait on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to go too far. I don't know.
I've yet to figure out what that would be. I don't think it's drug based, and I think it's kind of based on what you're looking for. Man, I think that fear they got put into a lot of people of that went too far thing, right? I I know too many really high functioning people that are doing well because of it, right? Or not because of it, with assistance from it.
Yeah.
Is what I would say, using it as a performance enhancer. I think if you're someone that crumbled, it wasn't that's fault. You were gonna crumble. And
Right.
maybe
Like you were saying,
that.
it enhances what's already there.
Yeah, and maybe you needed that to get your shit started. Maybe it accelerated that program. But one of the big things I've noticed from psychedelics more than anything else is the ability to lie to yourself is fucking gone. Like, you can't convince yourself enjoyment in a place where you don't want to be.
It's interesting.
It's just like, I don't want to fucking be here. Also, I don't have to be, so I'm going to fuck off.
Hey,
There's consequences maybe for that, but I don't have to do shit.
that's kind of nice though. It's nice when sometimes it can rub people the wrong way, but it's also kind of nice that, you know, like,
Dude, using
be
the word no is
transparent
great.
like that.
The word no is great.
And that's another part of my my pivot, going over this hill, is becoming less of a yes man. Yet being a yes man got me many places in life,
Yeah, man.
and many places that I wouldn't have gone otherwise. But now it's time to start, you know, calling my own shots more often. I already do.
Well, that's the buying your freedom, which essentially for you is buying time. And so if your time becomes more valuable, especially your free time, which you have little of.
Right. And I mean, you know, it's a choice.
I mean, look, it's for sale.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth what I would like you to pay for it. But if you want to pay that for it, fucking A, here we go.
Yeah, right. I mean, time is the most precious resource we have.
No doubt about it. That's
Use it wisely.
That's the only scarce commodity that exists. That's it.
Yeah.
And
Everything that, like, most of the philosophies of my life boil down to my finite existence. It's all going to end in a few decades, several decades, whatever. You know,
That's
even
it.
if you
Tick fucking talk, right? Like,
Yeah.
dude, it hit me like a fucking ton of bricks. The story that I tell about it was, my father had passed away in 2014. So I had just turned 31 that day. My dad had died the day before.
Oh, wow.
Pancreatic cancer, 11 months, done. And I remember like getting the call about it, you know, that he had passed, and fuck, man, I just thought, like, you know, you turn 30, 31, like, you're halfway to that.
Right.
And I was like, what are we fucking doing? Like, half the time's over. Half the time that you have to do anything that you think's fucking cool, half of it's gone.
Yeah. And I also, like, the weird thought about, like, thinking that I am the age of, like, my mom when I was in college, or
Yeah,
I am the age of my wife's mom when my wife and I first started dating, which is, it's crazy thought to put yourself in that.
Yeah,
that
the 40 one's
perspective.
interesting.
Yeah.
At 30, I was really able to really not feel like an adult. It's being harder, despite that I have weirder responsibilities than most adults, and I have tons of freedom. But there is something with turning 40 where you're like, I'm not a fucking kid.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
it's official. You can't say 41 and be like, I'm young.
No, you can get away with that in your 20s and 30s, but 40,
For sure.
you're officially.
No, I have too much fucking gray
if there was
hair.
any doubt, you're an adult.
No, like, and that's part of the physical stuff too. Like, yo, this thing's on the clock. I already got a fake knee. Like,
First sprained ankle that takes me longer than a week to recover. Then
fuck,
I'm
man.
fucked.
Dude,
I noticed a few years ago, like, my warm-ups and stretching got much longer. Warm-ups especially, just warming up before I hit the gym, before I start lifting. Otherwise, I'm going to have these pains for, like, weeks.
I already warm up for like a very long time before
Dude,
that.
the best thing in the world for me was like getting HRT done and getting on testosterone for test replacement. Made a huge difference. Made a huge difference in how I sleep, like focus, just overall ambition.
So do you just do it to bring it up to natural levels, or you go slightly above?
So my level, well, and the whole fucking thing's really strange the way it's done, right? So like it's based on, you know, parts per whatever in your blood, and the number for test with guys in our age is somewhere from 300 to 1300. And that's a big fucking window.
Yeah, it is.
And the reason that window's big, right, is because insurance companies tested a shitload of people and realized 90% of the people fall in that range. And so we'll just call that normal so that we don't ever have to pay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got that.
Right. And so it sucks, right? Because the number of whatever your test is, when I got it tested at 30, you know, prior to ever going on gear or doing anything like that, I'd got it back. It was 80, where it should have been at least 300, which I feel a little weird about because I think we don't have enough data, right? Like I don't know what my test was at 18. So it'd be great if I could be like, holy shit, we're down. Our test is down this year 25% from last year. Maybe we should start something. Instead of having this fucking window that you get 7 or 8 or 10, 20 fucking years for some dude operating at this low, sluggish fucking life.
Right. And you don't know. That's the thing, going back to data. Data is everything.
Right. And so, you know, being able to look at it and just be like, oh, okay, so one of the levels on the machine is low. Let's fucking fix that.
Right. Yeah.
And the machine runs
absolutely.
better. Fucking no kidding.
I wouldn't be opposed to doing that when I think I should probably, I mean,
I'm
I'm doing fine.
Of course, but that's not.
I would
it's
like
not
to
about
know what the
this.
level is so that in the future I will know what, you know, how's the decline?
There's a
Should
company I work with I can put you in touch with. They're great. And you know, got blood work done and talked to my doctor and figured out what to put me on. And it's been great.
I think you were just alluding to it, but the effects like aren't mostly physical. It's mental and energy
man,
levels.
We're not,
and
you're not taking that amount.
right.
Like don't get me wrong, fucking drugs are great. Like test work, gear works, but it works because it allows you to work harder.
Right.
I mean, there's some fucking side effects that come from it too, but you don't get to just sit on the couch and fucking get the rewards.
Yeah.
You know,
you still got to put the work in.
Have to. You still have to break down muscle tissue so it fucking adapts and grows back stronger. It's just better at doing that job. And so what you're doing is now, instead of your body at a lower dose of testosterone where you are cloudy and your body is holding on to more fat because estrogen's out of whack and doing all these things, it basically operates the way it's supposed to. I'm not interested in operating at a superhuman capacity unless I have a goal that's driven there, because I know the side effects along the way.
Right.
And so I need to know whatever that goal is important enough for me to deal with the bullshit on the way there. But since I'm not, like, I'm with the fuck busted knee and whatever else, like max strength isn't a fucking big interest anymore. I've kind of played those cards. I found out the information. And so going forward, like I just want to feel as good as possible and be able to do as many cool fucking things as I can and meet as many rad people.
Yeah. Functional.
Yeah.
Functionality.
Now, what does your training look like?
So I'll work out, the past few years, it's been like a 3-day split, push, pull, legs, and then I'll mix in, so weight training and calisthenics. So I got into calisthenics like a couple years ago, and I really love it. Like the challenge of trying to do a planche push-up and hover your body there, or, you know, do a muscle up or a flag.
Finding leverage as well. Like there's a cool athletic part of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And the weak points in your body that calisthenics highlight, like your core strength, man, everything else feels so much more powerful when you have a strong core. And like you were saying, when doing shot put, if you just arm it,
it doesn't
as opposed
work.
to getting your hips and your
You got to have a
waist.
connector, right? Like otherwise you're these two separate things. Like you wouldn't want rope in between something that's trying to apply power.
Yeah. So, I mean, over the years, I've been in many different types of shape, depending on what the challenge was, what the sport is. And now it's about feeling good, being pound for pound strong, being functional in my strength. So that's like, and just having fun doing it. Like, I love it. And I like mixing it up. And one thing I think a lot of people do too much of is trying to stick to a plan instead of listening to your body. Like, really, like
I think, but I also think that there's some age and wisdom that comes to that. Like, I don't know that I could have sold 25-year-old me on that. Right. But I also maybe needed 25-year-old me to get to the point that I'm like, there's a lot more just perception you can do of how you feel to get where we're going. But also I'm not chasing max strength right now. So there is something that if you're tracing a goal like that you're at a burn rate.
Yeah.
Like you're on the fucking clock for however long your body's going to tolerate this bullshit. You're just trying to hold on. And so you have to not listen to a lot of warning signs for it to fucking work out. There's no way to get as physically strong as you can as a human.
Absolutely.
And
push that limit.
Do it safely. Like that's just not how it fucking goes.
Right.
You know, and the same thing with Highland Games, right? Like if I think any type of training can be very healthy, whether that's powerlifting or weightlifting or CrossFit or calisthenics or HIIT training or fucking running. But if you as a person and athlete have decided you'd like to see how absolutely finite good you can be at one thing, health is no longer the concern.
True.
You don't get both.
Well, you do. I mean, in the short term. In the long term, if you want like, okay, and now I need to find this balance of being able to play this sport for years, or am I going all out this year and next year and I might blow out something. But I might also win too.
Yeah. It's the gamble.
Yeah. So one thing that I don't get with a lot of these gym guys is constantly
define gym guys.
Well, that's just a broad term.
Okay.
So just anybody who's lifting weight for size.
Okay, to actually
but they're not doing it for but they're not doing it for a competition. They're just want to be big.
Just more meatheadish.
Yeah.
And that's
just
fine.
Bros.
To each their own. But what's the point of having big muscles if they're always like covered in a huge layer of fat? Like I understand you have to have enough calories in order to grow, but they never go into the cutting stage. Like,
of course, right? Like that kind of perpetual bulky dude, because cutting sucks.
Yeah,
mostly is what it is. It's just easier to run a little bit of gear and eat too much, and so they constantly look a little bit bloated and puffy.
Yeah,
but they don't ever compete in anything, right? And like, I don't get it either.
Right.
Like I don't understand the putting on all that size out of like to eliminate
and you don't feel good when you're doing it.
Thing. I don't understand doing it to impress someone.
Right. Yeah. And
or to be perceived as big.
Yeah. And for me in my training, I'm just trying to find the balance of maintaining muscle mass and being lean.
Dude, that's all I fucking care about.
And
that's it.
Really,
that's the whole fucking shot at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really, it's like,
welcome to 40. This is great. This is just old dude talk here.
Right. So, and that's one thing about intermittent fasting that has helped me do that is I can put on mass while staying lean at the same time.
Yeah. It seems to have worked really well for me. It seems once I've decided to break that barrier of eating though, like I'm down to fucking eat.
Sure.
When I'm on vacation, it's just like 10 pounds immediately. Like as soon as I start eating or drinking, it's on for the rest of the day. I'm having 4,000 or 5,000 calorie days.
So I see that you've been down in Miami a lot and you're traveling a lot.
Yeah. I just got back from, spent a week in New York and another week in Miami and met with some clients, installed some pieces, met with a gallery down in Miami.
So you ship, I guess you're shipping a piece up there and then you collect it and then bring it to them. And
yeah. And I don't do all installs like out of town,
that's not part of the service.
No. It just so happened to work out that I was already going to be there. And I was like, well, I want to meet these people and we're going to, go have a drink and I'll install their artwork. And yeah, it was.
Look, it's right people, right? Let's say if you got an email from, Steve Jobs' ex-wife. Yeah, right. Like I'll probably fly out to fucking install that one. It's probably worth having some FaceTime.
Yeah,
right? Like I get
absolutely.
it.
Yeah, you got to put in that time and definitely treat your collectors well.
Well, it's family, dude. Like
absolutely.
These are the reasons you get to live this fucking life.
Yeah, it's mutually beneficial. Like it's a symbiotic relationship, and I appreciate them and they love what I do. It's
Which I think is super cool. Yeah, I think that's really cool because you form a relationship with someone that loves your stuff. You're just like, well, this is cool, and it's like, I'm glad you like my stuff that much. Like,
right. And it's great, right? Because the stuff that you're making, it gives them a feeling they like.
Yeah.
They like enough that they want more of it.
Yeah.
They'll fucking pay for it.
Which is super cool.
Which is great.
And I love the process of making it. So it's,
it just works for everyone.
Yeah, it's a positive feedback loop.
One of the best things about that is you don't have a bunch of stacks of it on your own. It's nice that it leaves.
It leaves.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
For sure. Shit, man. I'm glad I don't have a bunch of t-shirts that I have to fucking.
Oh man, that'd be rough. It's like they just won't go away.
Yeah, just sitting on inventory.
Of course, no, it's not ideal.
Right.
Man, I fucking dig it, dude. I'm so glad that you're in St. Louis. I would like to probably do this more regular.
Yeah,
you're
sure.
someone whose mind I want to pick and talk with a lot because you seem crazy like I am. So
absolutely,
I like it.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, maybe we'll train sometime too. We can always fuck off here.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, dude, I would love to get together and show you that wall, get a measurement, and try to figure out what we can do for the house. I'm super into that. Fuck yeah, man. Where can people find all your stuff? Where?
So I have a 12,000 square foot warehouse art studio in St. Charles, near between Ameristar Casino and Family Arena, near like this new development.
Can we come out and do a video tour of it?
Absolutely.
Oh fuck yeah!
All right,
cool.
Sick.
I'm there like all day, every day when
Okay.
I'm not like places like here.
Yeah, we'll figure something out for later next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And then besides that, online on my Instagram, which is at Zack Smithey. That's Zack with a CK, Smith with an EY at the end, or ZackSmithy.com, or Facebook. But Instagram and website are the best.
Hell yeah. Dude, I super appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. And this is fun. I mean, I don't even know how much time it just blew by. It's probably
I have no idea.
hours.
Oh, it was hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
In
fast.
90 minutes?
Yeah,
Awesome.
It was great.
Yeah, no,
So-
I know that there won't ever be a stopping point
Right.
to our conversation. At some point, I know the plug's got to get pulled, but
And that's
because you're
awesome.
in town, like I want to do more of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's always great when the conversation just naturally flows and you're not like fishing for things to say, and it's like
It'll only
dead
get
time.
better too.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Once we get on a couple dates, we'll fucking have more of an idea of how this whole dance
hey,
works.
All right. Yeah. When I was a little kid, I was super introverted. So doing something like this would have been like,
See, that's one of the only ones
Fear.
that I never had. That
I
one,
can tell.
I
Yeah,
understand.
I can tell.
I relate more to that.
yeah.
I had to get over that quick as a teacher. So,
Oh, fuck, I
College is
bet.
what did it for me. Like my biggest step was there was just a kid's dorm room that was open and he had like a cool computer. I'm like, hey dude, that's a cool computer. And like that was the most uncomfortable thing I'd ever done in my entire life because I just randomly talked to someone that I never met before. And it was just like, oh, that was really hard. But I did. And I was like, that was cool.
Yeah.
I was just like,
I'll make friends.
I was like, I'll do it. I'll survive here.
Fuck, you've been around enough. Like, it's always been that way. I haven't always been liked, but I always was trying. I found plenty of groups of people that didn't fucking want my business around.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you keep plugging away. Eventually, we find our groups.
That's it. Yeah, I'll find enough fucking weirdos, man.
Yeah.
I'm into it. I want a bunch of people who aren't interested in fitting it in. I fucking love it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
perfect.
dude. Hell yeah. That was great.
All right. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next week.